Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Motivational speaker, the comeback coach, and goal crusher Joe Rivera brings you inspiring leaders, incredible stories, and valuable lessons on how you can change, grow, and reforge your life. Now, here's your host, Joe Rivera.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Reforge Your Life Show. I'm your host, Joe Rivera. And here at the Reforge Your Life Show, we like to show you that the comeback is more than possible. And today, I'm super excited to bring my guest on here. I consider him a really good friend of mine. He's a lifelong entrepreneur, business owner, family man. A.B. Gabor, welcome to the show, my man.
Oh, so great to be here, Mr. Joe Rivera. I am just honored to share with you and our audience here today.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I'm honored to have you. And listen, I've heard your story, but there's no way that I could tell your story or anybody could tell your story as good as you can. So please, man, share the story with the audience, your strength, your hope, and let them know a little bit more about you.
Thank you so much. Lifelong entrepreneur. I grew up in a family of, I'm the son of two Holocaust survivors. So there aren't that many people like me that are first generation. But, you know, what happens when you grow up in a household like that, I've seen other households, and there are a couple of different responses to that. There are those that are angry that say, oh, why were we dealt the cards that we were dealt? Why did we lose people that we lost for no apparent reason? As opposed to, I grew up in a home where my family they were just happy to be alive, honored to be alive. And that attitude came across my entire life. My dad was a very, very hardworking man. And as life was, so he was a retailer his whole life. He went through a lot of different struggles, but I'm going to talk about my story more than anything else. Predominantly, he worked in the food business. And growing up, that's something that I really didn't want to do, or at least I didn't think I wanted to do it. I worked with him and my older brothers in a couple of our stores. I was actually going to go to law school. It was the August before the September. I was signed up, deposit made, ready to go. I was also working in the real estate space. And I realized I actually missed being in the retail space, working with people. I was always in a spot where I was the employer. I was the boss. My dad always, he wanted me to become an attorney because he wanted better for me than he had for himself, or at least that's what he thought. But I realized that I loved working with people, and I just missed that camaraderie around serving others, whether it was my employees or my customers. Fast forward, I jumped into that, started my own business, and I was a retailer. And then left my father's business and my brother's business, went on my own for a few years, came back. We merged again together, and we had multiple stores. And it served me and my family really well for a long time. I started that in 1986. Fast forward about 8 years later, so 1994, I'm driving from one of my stores in Long Island, very close to Kennedy Airport, towards another one of my stores in Queens, New York. February day, it was February 22nd, 1994. Actually, my mom's 65th birthday was that day. Beautiful sunny day. We had a lot of snowfall that year. That particular day, because it was a sunny day, there was a lot of meltdown, a lot of water on the roadway. A Toyota pickup truck lost control, hydroplaned, went over the barrier, hit me head on, boom. My car spun around a bunch of times. I didn't really know where I was. Had to go to the hospital. The dashboard crushed on my foot. I used to play in a weekly basketball game. That career or that hobby, whatever you want to call it, that was over. I get to the hospital. They say, you know what? You've got multiple injuries all over. Jaws of life had to take me out of my car. We may have to amputate. I'm like, look, whatever you got to do, just let's get rid of the pain. My shoulder was actually hurting me more than my foot, which was the more serious injury. Every extremity was damaged with the exception of my right arm. Fractured left shoulder, fractured left arm, broken left hip, tibia and fibula on the right side were broken, crushed foot, broken ribs. So I'm in the, I said, do what you got to do, doc, whatever it is. I actually had the ambulance take me. For those of you that are familiar with New York City, I was close to a hospital called St. Francis, which is a great hospital if someone has vascular issues. But I wasn't that far from Jamaica Hospital, which is a true trauma center. So I told the ambulance, take me to Jamaica. They're like, traffic. I'm like, no traffic. At least I had the wherewithal to say that. I knew that we'd get there quick. I was blessed that the chief of orthopedic surgery, which specialized on feet, was there. Thankfully, so I went to surgery right away. Thankfully, no amputation. I was in the hospital for 45 days, Joe, recovering multiple surgeries just to heal myself. It was probably 2 days later that at first I was in shock and I was a little bit upset, but then my mind shifted in that I was just thankful to be alive. And all of a sudden I realized, as cliche as it sounds, and I know that you live this as well, every day truly is a gift. And that's what I started feeling. And then still to this day, that was 31 years ago. I live with that in mind. And I knew we had a great run for a long time in my retail, in my stores, in my retail career. But I knew I had a story that I had to share with people. I knew that I needed to have some kind of platform, because people get down on themselves over a lot of silliness in this world. And I knew that I had to be able, maybe I'll touch someone when they're down about whatever it might be, to let them know, don't take for granted that we're alive every day here, and that we're truly a seed that God planted, a seed of greatness and so is everyone else. Utilize your seed and share that with people. So that's I just try to uplift people every single day, or whenever I can with this story. Thankfully, I'm able to do that now because I was able to shift what I do. About 8 years ago, when I sold the last of my stores. A year prior to that, I found another business. I didn't even know I was looking for it. And I've been able to utilize that business in having opportunities to share my story, just to uplift people. So I really, now, not only am I grateful for every day, I'm actually grateful that I had that accident, because that accident is what shifted my mind. Another thing was, during that accident was when it was right before that I met at that time it was my girlfriend, now my wife Liz, who we have 2 beautiful boys with. We were dating on a very, very casual basis, once a week, sometimes twice a week, for about 3 months. We went away for a week together to Mexico. It was the day after I got back that we had this accident. She was like, why isn't he calling me? Because we really connected then. And then she was like my angel. She came to the hospital nearly every day. And if not for this accident, who knows, maybe I would have blown that one too. So I'm really forever grateful for that experience.
Yeah.
Because that's what leads me to the type of person I am today.
That's awesome. And yeah, sometimes these tragic moments in our lives really help unlock our fullest potential and help us be able to start creating a life that we love and create success on our own terms. It's so important to be aware of that, and that your challenges that you have in life, they don't have to be the end all be all. They could be the beginning of something great. Abi, I'm curious. This accident happened. You're on your way to the hospital, and they're talking about amputating your foot. And what's going through your mind in the moment of the tragic moment? Because what I want the audience to understand is, you spoke about a shift in the mindset, right? But what was it before the shift?
I know that my body was in trauma, and I was in a lot of pain. And what was interesting, like I said before, the way the body works, when you have multiple injuries at the same time, you can only feel it in one spot. And the spot that felt it was my shoulder more than my foot. So what I was thinking was, all right, they're going to take me to the hospital. Hopefully they could do something for me to alleviate this pain. I did not think of – now, when they told me this thing about the amputation, really I was thinking about the pain, and I never really thought that was going to happen. Now, I knew it was serious, but a lot of it you may not have, or I may not have been feeling, but the shift took place, Joe, a couple of days later, because at first, well, I was under a lot of anesthesia, morphine, whatever, so I really wasn't 100% all there. Like when they did the surgery, I didn't know what day it was. When I woke up, I don't know if it was 12 hours later, 36 hours later, I didn't even know. At first, I was in a recovery room. So one of my best friends that I had growing up, I knew him growing up in the Bronx. After he went to school at Princeton, then he went to law school at NYU. He lost his hearing. Some kind of virus entered his brain, and he lost his hearing. And he had always had a great outlook on life. So he visited me in the hospital, and I'll never forget this because his attitude was always so amazing. My friend Phil, he said, he used to call me Gabes. It's kind of a combination of my first name and my last name. He's like, Gabes, when I went through what I went through, I was just happy to be alive. Well, that resonated with me immediately. And I saw him like 2 days, or pretty much right at the beginning of after this happened. And I'm like, I've seen the way he responded to everything that he dealt with. He went to law school with a hand sign interpreter, and he's got a great family and has lived a great life, and it's because of that attitude. And I said, that's the right attitude, and that's what I want. That's why he's one of my best friends. So that's how it shifted right away. So the prior, I don't even think I had time to let it sink in enough. People live with pain and whatever. You learn to live through it, or if you choose to. It's all about how one responds to the event that happens to them, and that's how I choose to live with it. I went through a lot of rehabilitation, physical therapy, so on and so forth. I was grateful that I had the opportunity to do that.
It's so important. There's a couple things that you mentioned that I want to touch on. Number one, this friend that you had in your life, your best friend from childhood, and how important it is, you know, for us to be able to be around people who lift our spirit up and who elevate the way we think, because your friend, by being that positive influence on you, helped you have that shift in your mindset in your most difficult time, right? If you were hanging out with someone you got that negative thinking, and they're like, damn, AB, this shit doesn't look good, man. I don't know how are you going to be able to survive this? How are you going to be able to make these changes in your life? How are you going to be able to move forward? Maybe, your mind would have been different at that moment, and you wouldn't have been able to bounce back as fast as you could, as fast as you did. And then you're also talking about that you made the choice on how you wanted to. And for the audience out there, I just want to stress how important this is, that we choose the way we feel. We choose the energy that we bring into our life. It's all about that powerful blessing that we were blessed with, which is the power of choice. And you have a choice to feel the way you're going to feel. You have a choice to live life the way you want to live it. And I mean, AB's a perfect example, man. It could have been easy to be like, man, you know what? I got into this accident and I'm going to just roll over and play the victim role and play the pity pot and be on my pity pot all day and not do anything about my situation and play victim of my circumstances and conditions. But you went the other route. You realized that you're not a victim of your circumstances and conditions, and you create your own destiny. Congratulations on that, man. That's awesome. It speaks volume of your character. And I'm curious. You didn't mention what the final result of the injuries were, because I know they didn't have to amputate, but what were the final injuries? What was it that you had?
So they put a lot of heart. So tibia and fibula were broken. Those are the bones in between your ankle and your knee. Mm-hmm. So they had to put hardware in there. They had to do a little skin graft from my thigh because the skin, it was so swollen. My foot was crushed, so I had all kinds of pins, and some of them were sticking out. That's why I was in the hospital for as long as I was, because they wanted the foot to kind of like get into place as best as it could in the amount of time that I was there. Yeah. The left shoulder was fractured. That we ended up never even doing anything on that. Physical therapy is what healed it. My left ulna, which is right over here, your arm, was broken. I didn't even find out for 3 weeks because I never felt it. Every morning, a team of doctors would come in and they would poke and prod at me and see how I was doing. One day, they're like, your arm doesn't look right. Let's do an x-ray. They brought in an x-ray machine into my room and they said, you have a broken arm. Why didn't you say anything? I'm like, what did I say? I'm not a complainer. You guys are dealing with everything else. Anyway, I didn't feel it. So the long-term injury, the most was on the foot. Like I can't, running is not something, but the doctor would say you should only run if you're in a fire. So like jogging, that type of exercise, no good. Anything non-weight bearing is fine. Swimming, biking, that type of thing. No issues whatsoever. The physical therapy made the shoulder get better and better and better over time. And it's always better if you can avoid doing surgery, because once you do, it comes back. It's your body's never the same. It's amazing how a body can heal. But forever, and look, I never realized this growing up, with people that have had injuries and they could predict the weather. I know before it's going to rain because I could feel pains in my foot. All right, you know what? I look at that as an advantage. It's going to rain tomorrow, or whatever. It's fine, and I learned how to live with it, and have a great threshold for pain.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all relative what pain is. For some people, it's painful if their cell phone drops their call.
I mean, it's man. Let me ask, man. Do they take bets in Vegas on the weather? Because you
I don't think so.
Something that you mentioned that's really powerful. You said you're not a complainer, and you spoke about how important gratitude is. And man, it's so important to realize, man, there could be so much that you could complain about, right? And rather than complaining, choose to shift the perspective into gratitude. It's so important.
So important.
You know
so important.
Yeah, it's vital, and I think that, when we go through a challenge or turmoil in our life, where we feel like, man, God gave me a second chance at, life could have gone in such a different direction. It definitely gives those who go through those challenges, and I'm speaking from experience, it gives us a different perspective on life and gives us that gratitude is the attitude way to go when you're able to overcome something like that. And how important was and is gratitude through your challenges that you went through, this accident, and how big of a role did that play in your life? And does it play?
Gratitude is a mindset that if we choose to live in gratitude, good things will always come. I had a business mentor when this accident happened, and he always said to me, you're reborn. You've got yourself a new life here, because it wasn't my time. I found out a few weeks into the accident when I was in the hospital that the gentleman that hit me was an 18-year-old kid that lost his life. I didn't know because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt and his head hit the bar in between the windshield and the window. He didn't have that second chance that I did. But getting back to your question, Joe, about gratitude, this was a little later on in life when I took gratitude to even another greater level, learning from one of my mentors. Every day, I don't know how many years it's been now, I journal. And this is part of my morning routine. This is what I start with. It's sort of like a recap. Part of it's a recap from the day before. I write, what can I do more of? What should I do less of? What did I learn? 5 things that I'm grateful for. I write this every morning. It could be something as simple as I can dress myself, I can feed myself, or it could be something more profound, plus 3 things that were great. Sometimes the grateful and the great are, intertwine. But when I put myself into that frame of mind on a daily basis, there's so much that we live in the greatest country in the world, so to speak, that we could be grateful for. People send me motivational videos every day. Clean water. I mean, there are people that live in third world countries that have to walk miles to fill up a bucket of water that's dirty to feed their family. Things that we take for granted. It's so important to come from a place of gratitude, and what you said before, so true, of who we surround ourselves with, the association of people. And that doesn't, we could be surrounded, and it's beautiful. We meet people all the time, and we get to choose, which is another thing that you said, who we get to be around. I'm blessed to have met you. 5 years ago, we didn't even know each other. And just because you may know someone for 30 or 40 years, if that season may end with someone from the past, and that's okay. people come and go, but you get to choose who you want to be around, because that's going to uplift you, and that's going to give you the opportunity to uplift others. Because that's really where I come from. I just want to serve others in a way because that makes the world a better place for us all.
Yeah, man, it absolutely does when you're thinking on that level of, being of service and making sure that you're creating impact in somebody's life some way, somehow, by being of service, because you don't know how much you lift someone off their feet and you put your hand out to give them. You never know how much you're helping that person. And that's why being of service is so important. And I think, through my journey, I've learned that, the most successful people in the world, and I'm not talking success just money wise, right? I'm talking people who are successful and fulfilled in life, and who are whole with themselves and unlocking their fullest potential, are people that are being of service. There's not one person that I know that's completely fulfilled like that, and they're not being of service some way, somehow, out serving people. It's what it is.
No doubt about it. We're all passing time here. And at the end of the time, whatever our time is, what they might write about us on that tombstone or wherever it is, or just how people speak of us, it's of how they remember. That's what true legacy is, in my opinion. I'm speaking to myself when I speak to our audience here, Joe. Our true legacy is what we leave behind, what we, how our families, how our children look at us and say, it's not that he left me a business. He left me the type of person, the type of work ethic that I want for myself. There's nothing greater than that, and that's it, and we continue to learn. My path of self-development and personal growth really took a whole nother level about 8.5 years ago. And that's what made me even more conscious. My accident did a lot. It changed my life forever, but tying it in with personal growth made it that much greater. And that's where I live on a daily basis.
Yeah, man, it's so important to continue to grow on a day by day basis and make sure that you're feeding your brain with a way to grow. So many people get caught up in this, social media world and technology world, and all these screens that are in front of our face at all times, and feeding, scrolling on IG and social media and whatever it is. And I don't think people realize how it could rot your brain if you're just sitting there mindlessly scrolling and not feeding yourself something that's going to help you grow and move the needle in your life.
No doubt about it. So one of the theories, so I'm blessed that my wife Liz led me to a week-long webinar of Jack Canfield. He wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. One of his theories that I live with on a daily basis, he calls it E plus R equals O. So E is an event. So an event could be anything. An event could be you're driving in traffic. The R is the response, how you respond to the event. So you heard how I responded to my accident, but let's just talk about like driving in traffic. People could freak out, and because they might get somewhere 30 minutes later. Or you know what? It's an opportunity to listen to a podcast, put more good stuff into my brain. And the O is the outcome. So how an event you can't change. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But how you respond to the event will lead to the outcome, which becomes much healthier. And I tell myself this all the time. Last night we had a huge rainstorm here, and then about 9 o'clock at night, all the power went out. Boom! It happens here all the time. Well, how do you respond to it? We had the power of looking and just being with one another, and it came on in the middle of the night back. Fine. No, again, it's how one responds as opposed to just freaking out over whatever.
Yeah, man. And there's a big difference with, reacting and responding.
Big time. Those two words, and I'm a big proponent of words. Reacting is like a bug bite.
Yep.
It's the action, whereas response is much gentler and much more logical, or could be, should be.
Yeah. It takes more deeper thought to respond. The reaction is that quick, it's a quick response, right? And it's something that could happen out of emotion. And, when you're not emotionally intelligent enough to realize that, hold on, let me not react and let me take this in so that I could respond correctly.
Because reaction is typically negative.
Yes. It definitely can be. It can 100% be negative. If you're reacting off of emotion, if you're reacting off of the situation in hand and not really thoroughly thinking it through, it will end up being a negative reaction. 100%.
No doubt about it. Someone sent me this quote today. I'm going to just share it with you because I think it's a beautiful quote. Just to put people's lives in perspective. And if there was a way I could share it, I would. It goes, dirty water doesn't stop plants from growing. So don't let negative words stop your progress.
Man, oh man, oh man. Talk about dropping bombs. That is fabulous. I love that quote. Because I'm a big believer in the power of words and what they can do to your mind. And it's again about what you're feeding yourself, right? The story that we tell ourselves is a story that shapes our destiny. And it comes from the words that we're saying to ourselves, the words that we're saying about ourselves. Right. So it's so important. That's why I'm a big believer in like I am statements and that those positive affirmations that you're saying.
No doubt.
If you look in my room, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I got, all over my wall, I got affirmations, my I am statements. 10, I started off with 5 a day. It's up to, 20 a day, and it continues to grow. I continue to add to them because I believe that the words that we say to ourselves is vital in what our future will look like. Amy, I'm curious, through this journey, there was a belief system. I believe that when we go through transformation in life, there's a belief system that gets cracked through and changed, and a new belief system is created. What was the old belief system and the old beliefs that you had to crack through in order to create the new belief system that you have?
It's a great question. I always thought when I was in business and I was successful and we helped lots of families have make a living for themselves and serve people by having food at a very fair price, so on and so forth. I always thought that I didn't realize how much more there was to serve others. When I was in that time of life, I thought that was that I was, let's say, full of that. It was after I went through this experience and I realized there's more out there. I wasn't sure what it was yet, Joe, but I knew there was more. I felt that there was more. Um, Part of my foundation and my positivity also came, I said in the beginning of our interview here that I'm a son of two Holocaust survivors that are just happy to live life. And when I think back at like the injury and all the what was going on in my body, it was nothing compared to what they had to go through in life. So really, it's everything in perspective. And so as that's why I'm grateful for what I went through in my accident, because now I could serve on a much greater level.
Man, that's so important. There's a nugget that you dropped that I want to make sure that the audience is picking up, especially the parents out there, and how important it is, the energy that you bring around your children, and the way that you carry yourself, and how the leadership that you show your children. Because fuck, man, here your parents are. They survived the Holocaust. You know what I mean? The shit that they had to go through, and they're expressing gratitude in your household, and they're expressing, how happy they are to be alive. And I'm sure that played a big role in the way that you handled your tragic situation.
No doubt about it. And the thing is this, for those that are parents, the kids don't realize this when you're growing up. It you're going through it, or as a child, it's like one on top of another as life goes on. That when you look back and you're like, wow, this was really. I'm grateful. I'm blessed for having been brought up in a home like this, or with love like this. Not everyone gets it. Or not everyone gets that love, is what I'm saying. People have circumstances and they can't do that for their children, or they're not in the mindset that we may be. And that's okay. People have to move on with the way they have to move on. But again, sometimes they might be in a good situation and not realize it because themselves put themselves in a bad place, because like you said before, Joe, they might surround themselves with the bad people.
Yeah, man, it's so true. And I believe that, our belief system, a lot of it gets built from childhood. A lot of it gets built from in the home. And, perfect example, right? Like, money doesn't grow on trees. Money's the root of evil. Like, those are things that we learned from childhood. And it could, affect someone's mindset and the way that the relationship that they have with money. You know what I mean? That's just one small example of.
It's a great nugget, though.
Yeah, and it all starts from how you raise your kids at home and the things that you're saying to them. So it's important to, again, it comes down to the words, right? And the words that we use around our children, and also the energy that we bring into our children's life. I'm a big believer in that, man. A big believer. I mean, it's not all at home, but a big portion of it starts from how you're raising your kids, and what that household looks.
Absolutely.
Amy, so you spoke about the shift in the mindset. How you sold the other business and you got onto another business where you're able to share your story and you have that platform. I'd love for you to share with the audience what you're doing now and, where they could find you.
Appreciate that, Joe. So what happened was while I was still in the supermarket world, so I was busy. We had hundreds of employees. I had a lot going on. I had to worry about who was opening the stores, who was closing the store, whatever, the ones that were 24 hours, people coming in overnight, all kinds of stuff. I was introduced to a company that, just to make it simple, what we do is we help people get better value or save money on bills that they're spending their money on anyway. And this is stuff that we all have. It's healthcare, it's cell phone service, gas and electric, and a whole bunch of other stuff. 11 different industries right now. So when it was introduced to me, it came from a childhood friend of my wife's. I was curious, how does the healthcare company do cell phone service? And they do internet, and they do whatever, alarm systems, all kinds of different things. So what I grew to learn was that we are a platform, that we're a reseller of a lot of these services. So great, I was doing this anyway. I had to be sensitive, cognizant of my expenses in the supermarket world because our profit margins are so narrow. So then she said, look, to be a customer, it doesn't cost you anything. You could just save money. Money saved is money earned. Why not? Then she said, if you want, though, to be part of the program, you could make money on the bills. Joe, that was a mic drop for me. What do you mean make money on the bills? Why wouldn't I want to make money? I'm going to pay them anyway. You mean I could get paid for them? So I learned how to do this, and that's what I did. Now, I didn't understand what any of this was. I learned from scratch. This is a network marketing model that's specific in the service industries with companies that we're all familiar with, multi-billion and trillion-dollar industries. So to me, it just made sense on a very basic level. And now I'm doing this like 9.5 years, Joe. All I do is share with people, and we either help them save, or if someone's really interested, then they want to create another stream. Well, I teach people how they can make money while they're saving. The reason why this is a platform for me to share my story is because we pride ourselves in our training. And so much of my business, just like anyone's business, is mindset. And when I'm up on stage teaching about these services, look, I don't have any passion for cell phone service or any of these other services. My passion is really to uplift people. And when I'm on stage, I intertwine my story into training about all these services, because that's what resonates with people more than anything else. You know, of all the services, the healthcare one is something that's a real disruptor in a broken industry, because our costs are less than half of traditional insurance. There's no network restriction of doctors. You can go to anyone. So it's a gift that I get to share. If someone wants to hear it, great. If they don't, great. It doesn't faze me one way or another. So that's what I do now. So, in essence, I'm a coach in a certain way. I don't charge for my coaching. But it's all mindset. Look, you're the same way, sir. You uplift people. From the first time I met you, I wanted to hang out with you more because of your story. And I knew that we could relate to one another with both of our stories.
Absolutely, man. I knew the energy was there from when I met you, and I'm grateful that you're a part of my life, and I could call you a friend, and that we're able to share a platform together today and in the future. And man, it's so important for the audience to pick up on the fact that something happens when you're being of service and you're doing the work that your creator, whether you call it God, the universe, the infinite intelligence, whatever you believe, when you're doing the work that creator put you here to do, you're working co-creation to create your life. It's just amazing what happens.
There's no doubt about it. And what I'll share with other people is this. Much of the work for any of us is the work that people don't see what we're doing. We have to work on one another, even when we don't have the audience out there to see it. That's what will lead you to the opportunity to get in front of your audience. So it's no matter what it is one does in life, you got to put in the work.
Yeah, man. So true, man. It's not the work that you're doing in front of everybody out there. It's the work that you're doing behind the scenes when nobody's looking. What kind of work are you putting in? Are you really working towards moving the needle in your life? Are you really
That's
working
right.
towards what your purpose is? Are you really working towards creating success on your own terms? Aby, can you let the audience know really quick where they could find you?
So my email, you guys see my name down there, Aby Gabor. It's my first name, Aby at abygabor.com. You can email me anytime. I could even drop my phone number. I don't know if you want me to do that or not. By all means, I'm here to serve and to help.
Love it. All the information, your email and all that's going to be in the show notes for all the listeners. Y'all can see it there. And Aby, man, there's a couple questions that I ask all my guests. The first is, what does the word purpose mean to you?
That's a great question. So one of my purposes is that I do the right thing so that and I touched upon this earlier, is that our memories are cherished in a very, very special spot for those that we touch.
Man, that's so true. People that we touch, we don't understand. People don't understand on the level that it impacts people's lives. We touch them in a way where you move the needle. It's so important. And Aby, when you hear the word reforge, what comes to mind?
It's what I love about the what you call your platform here. When I hear reforge, especially when it comes from you, it ties in with purpose. We have a purpose to be here. Reforge means nothing moves in a straight line ever in life. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be the richest man in the world. Everyone's gone through obstacles. What Reforge is, it gives you a reason to reset, to move again in the right direction. Now, look, sometimes we might be moving forward and we're doing great, up, and then all of a sudden we have a setback. Well, you know what? It was meant to be that way. But that's the opportunity to reforge. And, you might even be going on a better path than you were before.
Right, man. Sometimes that reset button takes you to a whole nother level, like a lot higher than where you were.
For those that are young that are watching this now, why is it that your devices oftentimes need a reboot and then they work better?
It's so true. I mean, man, from our day, back in the day, I remember with like Nintendo, we had to blow into the cartridge.
The power of the reboot is the forge, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. I definitely just showed my age. All good. So, Aby, there's somebody out there right now, who is looking to reforge their life, and they don't know where to start. What's one piece of advice you could give someone looking to reforge their life?
I learned this from somebody one time, and I thought it was very, very powerful. Every day, do more. Just do a little more of whatever it is you're doing. It could be something very, very basic. Read 10 pages in a book. You read 10 pages in a book in a year, that could be 15 books, 3,650 pages. That is an awful lot. Some people turn to faith. Another one that I learned that was great was the book of Proverbs. There's 31 chapters. if every day we read, like today's the 11th, if you read chapter 11 today and you read it over and over and over, month after month after month, it becomes very powerful because you read different things. So put positive things into your mind a little more. You do something every day, a little more. See where you are a month from now, 3 months from now, a year from now.
Love that. Do a little bit more. Keep pushing. Not about perfection, about progressing. Progress every single day. Do a little bit more, man, and move the needle in your life. Awesome, man. Listen, baby, man. One last question. Tell the audience one thing about AB that they don't know that you like to do for fun.
That I'd like to do?
That you enjoy doing for fun.
Well, I love live music. I love music in general. I think music is the universal language. I love to dance. I could still dance, even though, I went through all these injuries. It uplifts me. I have a lot of other passions as well, but that's something that has that I grew up with, that I resonated with, and as life has gone on, I continue to do it as much as I can. So that's, a little off the beaten path of what we've spoken about, but look, it's not all about work. And it's not all about just reading and self-development. There has to be some things that you like doing as well that are fun things. That's one of them for me. That's a big one.
It's off the beaten path, but it's not, because
right.
Fun
Yes.
is part of your purpose, right? You can't live a purposeful life if you're not having fun while you're doing it.
100%. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
You got that right, man.
You got to be having fun with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. AB, this has been phenomenal, man. I knew that you were going to bring the energy. I knew that we had synergy, but man, it even exceeded expectations. I didn't think that was possible, but it happened. So,
it's always an honor to be with you, Mr. Rivera.
Same here, man. Always an honor. I'm grateful to have you on the show, and I'm grateful to be able to call you a friend, man. Thanks again for coming through, brother.
Me too. Really, my pleasure.
And for all the listeners out there and people who are watching, please don't forget, man, LFSS. Like, follow, subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to share the episode, because there's somebody out there that's looking to reforge their life, whether it's in their business, their finances, their health, their relationship, and they don't know where to start. They don't have the tools. And this episode, or one of the past episodes, could help them reforge their life, man. So don't forget to share it. Stay productive, stay profitable, and stay blessed, y'all.
You've been listening to Reforge Your Life with your host, Joe Rivera. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about Joe Rivera and how he can help you or your organization reforge your life and regain your place at the top, head on over to withjoerivera.com and follow Joe on all social platforms. The Reforge Your Life podcast was produced by Thrive Loud Productions. Thanks for listening.